Good morning, everyone. How we doing? Sam, the United People's TV, here to try my best to try and run through everything that happened last night. A 3-2 win against Ipswich. If you listen to the pod this morning, I described it as sort of the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you can really sort of define that game into 3 different categories. You can focus on whatever point you want to focus on, because the game, unfortunately, had everything, good, bad, and ugly. 3 points, yes, but so many talking points. We'll speak about Onana and the absolute shocker of a performance from Onana. Garnacho and the attitude that he showed. The fight from the players to, backs against the wall. Old Trafford, 3 points. Amorim's system. Dorgu's red card. Where do you want to start? I've been here since like 7:30 this morning. I only just about managed to get this show ready for 10 o'clock. Hope you're all well. We'll try and run through it all. Well, I'll try my best. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to cover all of it. Let's be completely honest. Let's see who's here from the mods and the members gang. Just bit my tongue. I hate when you bite your tongue. Dead annoying. Good morning to Stephanie Gungshi. Nice to see you, dude. It's been a little while. Carl, you're there as well. And no doubt you're here as well. And Josh lurking in the background, as always. I just can't see your name. Rex, Mike, Toby. We've got Abdallah. We've got Brian and Ronnie. That Ronnie? Don't know. We've got Simmy Skimmed. We've got Giles. And we've got C. Billington. Good morning to everyone. Please do get involved in the chat, right? There's going to be a lot of talking points this morning. Some contentious, some not, but I want to understand where the opinion is, because let's waste absolutely no time and let's get straight into it, because I've got so many things that I need to run through from last night. C-Fence down in the comments saying, start positive. How about that fighting spirit? And I will be starting on the good. You know what I'm starting on? Literally the highlight from last night. She's my icon. She was class. Casemiro out there geeing up the crowd, and she's there just giving it large. As soon as I saw that, I was like, I've got a lot of time for that. I've got a lot of time for that. And I don't mean this in a horrible way. It's just that the Old Trafford atmosphere yesterday, it sounded fantastic. With everything that is going on at this club right now, it really felt like Old Trafford was properly getting behind the players for what they were showing, because they were down to 10 men for the full second half. It was backs against the wall. It was a defensive performance, just like it was away at Arsenal with 10 men, just like it was away at Liverpool. And in all 3 games, arguably, have been the games where United have played more like a team than they have in any other games this season. And I just love that from her. But I'm going to start with the good, right, from the game. You know what's going to come after that, the bad and the ugly. And speaking of good, the man himself. You can't not whip out the Gongshi when Gongshi comes around, having been away for a while. I'll drop the foot. Oh, I've got it back. And gifted 15 memberships. Yeah, boy. Woo! There she is. The gong is out. Normally the gong is good times on here. I mean, it's 3 points last night. Let's run through the good from that game. And as I said there at the beginning, the fighting spirit from that team was fantastic yesterday. All right? Odds were against United after Dorgu got the red card and Philogene got the second goal. Anyway, when that equaliser went in before half-time and we were down to 10 men, I'm sure so I can only speak for myself, I suppose, but I was like, right, okay, well, I know what's coming in this second half. We got the early goal in the second half, thanks to when was the last time we scored from a set piece? And when was the last time we scored from 2 set pieces? I think it was at Southampton away. When was the last time we scored from 3 set pieces? I got no idea. But the fight that those players showed is definitely a highlight. It's definitely a good point to focus on. That bit there when Ugarte was holding off Liam Delap once, twice, 3 times, and Mazraoui and Xerxes both immediately came in for a scrap. Casemiro, yeah, should we be chest pumping when we're beating Ipswich? No, but given the circumstances of our foot, and this is what it's like the celebration police comes out, and fans of other clubs look from the outside, go, wow, you should be doing that. It's embarrassing. Where have your standards gone? Our standards are in the bin. Our standards are in the gutter. Look where we are as a football club. That there was something not worth celebrating, but sort of worth getting behind. And that in itself was good, right? Amorim said it after the game. And as I said, it felt like Old Trafford yesterday with the Glazers out chants was the loudest I'd heard them in a long, long time. Remember, by the way, that there is a protest happening before the Arsenal game on the 9th of March. Okay? The protest is there to make sure to try for fans, for the 1958 and everyone else who gets involved, to try and make sure that accountability still exists with the owners and the ownership of our football club. That they can't just do things and make decisions and increase ticket prices for members without consultation and think they can just get away with it and nothing will be said or done. That's why the protest is there, and it's on the 9th of March. And it was loud last night. But if you want to pick out the best of last night, right, I'm speaking about Bruno. And everybody on this channel knows how much I appreciate Bruno. And I feel like it's so... I've always found it so strange why I've had to defend him. And last night, I wasn't surprised to see that from Bruno, okay? It was just Bruno. Bruno was just doing what he has done for a long-ass time. And he dragged the whole team up yesterday. 3 goals come from the 3 set pieces. And I think that's one thing that's always pissed me off about set pieces, right? If you can put a good delivery in a box, it's most of the battle. Like the first goal was just a ridiculous delivery, hit so straight and with so much pace that it just needed a little nick. And basically, like the Ipswich defender, was it Morsey? Got his head in the way of it, and it looked like he just rifled a header in, but the pace on the ball was so fast. It just needed contact, and that's what it was. And the second corner, of course, went over the top, and then it came back in, and it was Delo and then Delict, and that one there. But the third one was just a really good delivery to Maguire. Bruno was insane yesterday. That run towards the end, when he won the tackle on the edge of his own box and then ran forward like 70 yards, tried to find Mazraoui in the box, didn't quite find him, but he was absolutely gassed. And our club has fallen off a cliff in the last 10 years. I hate to think how far we would have fallen had this bloke not been in our squad and our captain. I dread to think where we would have fallen to. I really, really do. Someone just gifted a membership. Is it Daniel? Thank you for gifting a membership, dude, and joining as a member. Nice to see you there. But yeah, Amorim loves him. I love him. I hope that in the summer that we sign a... It still feels to me like I would rather sign a world-class athletic monster of a central midfielder and have Bruno playing slightly further forward without the need to have any defensive... Well, not no defensive responsibility, but to take the defensive responsibilities away from him rather than Bruno being tasked with being the deeper playmaker and the build-up. He's probably the best of both right now, but if I'm going to choose one for 2 more years of Bruno at United, I want to see Bruno focused on staying in the opposition's half. That's where he's his best. And last night, he was the creator. And last night was, in my opinion anyway, definitely the best performance that we've seen from Yoro so far. And in tough circumstances as well. When we signed him, he started playing on the right-hand side of defence as a wide centre-back. And now he shifted to the left. And I thought, hey, look, that first half, let's ignore the fact that that was an abysmal goal, and I'll speak about Onana in a little bit. That's when we get to the bad part. Down that left-hand side, Yoro, Dorgu, Garnacho, and Bruno that's where all of our play was going through. And he was fantastic. Like, you don't need to look at the stats to know that he had a good game, but he did have a good game. Completed all of his dribbles, completed all of his tackles. Only misplaced 3 passes in the whole game. And that Cruyff turn, that's a centre-back. And that's what Yoro is showing us. And this is something that is going to have to be done over probably a couple of years. What you're looking at there is a centre-back, ladies and gents. And when you watch Yoro sort of bringing the ball out of the defence, actually a little bit of ball carrying, mind-blowing, like a ball-carrying wide centre-back. It made such a difference. He's technically very good with the ball at his feet. That Cruyff turn was lovely, but that's the confidence that he does have. But what you're looking at there is the modern centre-back. There was, once upon a time, you had Vincent Kompany's, you had Nemanja Vidic's, even Van Dijk, for sure. They're quite static centre-backs. Their natural instinct is to sort of step back, measure the space, see what's happening. Very good at timing their tackles, very good at marking their space, and excellent at defending their own box. What we need for the Amorim system, when it comes to the 2 wide centre-backs positions, are players like Yoro, who are athletes, who can cover the space, who can carry the ball 10 yards, who can play a 1-2 and skip round a player, who are agile and can also defend at the same time. It's a different, maybe it's not the way like all modern centre-backs are going, but it's what we need. I'm looking at De Ligt and I'm looking at Maguire and I'm seeing 2 centre-backs who should be vying for one spot in the middle. Right now, we don't have the centre-backs in the squad that allow that. Hence why, out of the 2, De Ligt is being tasked with playing in the channel. And he's better than Maguire would be there, but he's still not as good as Yoro is there. I thought Yoro really deserved his plaudits, man. Jamie saying Yoro gives me Rio vibes. He was man of the match, says Ryan. Well, no, he wasn't man of the match because that was Bruno. You can't take that away from Bruno. But Yoro really deserves some credit for how he played yesterday. As does this man. Again, like, if you're talking about sort of attitude and approach, for Xerxes to go from where he was after the Newcastle game to that penalty against Arsenal in the... was it FA Cup? Was it League Cup? It was FA Cup. FA Cup third round. To that showing yesterday, he was running on empty towards the end of that game. And in tough circumstances, in a very isolated role with 10 men, when you got an attacker sent off, Xerxes was doing the running. There wasn't really much coming from it, but he was putting the yards in. He was trying to make himself a problem. And I think he played well, man. I think Xerxes deserves plaudits too. There's a reason that Højlund was taken off and Xerxes was left on. So I think if you're looking for the main good takeaway, it was that. This team, when they need to, when their backs are against the wall, they've done it against Arsenal, they've done it away to Liverpool, now they've done it against Ipswich. They can do it collectively together as a team. However, now we move on to the bad. As I said, this game sort of had everything yesterday. Amorim was speaking about it after, right? This is what he said about the game. He goes, we've got to improve in every aspect. That kind of sounds like that David Moyes sentence. We lack some characteristics in our squad to play in a different way. We need to have more possession. We clearly need to create more chances and especially some more goals. That's a big issue, and we need to address that. And while scoring 3 goals, winning 3-2 was good, and I've said this so many times until it feels like I'm blue in the face, and I'll say it again now. Listen to this from Amorim. He was asked about the style of play, and he goes, that is clear, and it is hard for me. I'm fighting Maguire and De Ligt, very good at defending the box. When there's a lot of space, it is different. It is really hard for me to play like we did in the second half. I feel the players are sometimes more comfortable playing in a low block. And again, like this, in terms of like defending the manager, in terms of anger among United fans, because there's so much noise and energy towards the fact that we are playing with 5 at the back. Amorim's such a defensive-minded manager, head coach, whatever you want to call it. It's awful. Amorim does not, and I'll say this really slowly, Amorim does not want United to play in a low block. Amorim does not want United to play defensive, to play deep. But right now, circumstances are dictating that needs to happen. And unfortunately, you've seen our best overall team performances are coming when we're playing in that deeper block. But then when we're trying to step it forward and do something else and create space and leave gaps, the players can't do it as much. The players can't do it as well. They can't cover those spaces. And that's where you're getting stuck in this middle ground where you're not playing with much intensity because they can't do what he wants them to do. Like, Amorim is not putting the wool over our eyes, hasn't at any point. He's made it clear right from before he came in when he was sporting manager and they beat City 4-1. He goes, I can't do that at United. Look, I know that we sat deep. We sat with the back 5 and we hit on the counter and we won. I think it was 4-1 there. It's like, I know I can't do that as United manager. He's coming into United and he's saying it is really hard. He doesn't want to play like, of course, in the second half, you had 10 men. You had a player sent off. So it's a little bit of a different circumstance. But he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to see it when he has his defenders covering a lot of space on their own. They can't do it. And Maguire can't do it. And De Ligt can't. No, he can't do it. Yoro stands out in that regard. And this is just the thing that's really, really, really frustrating me with you. But we're 15th. Well, actually, that's a lie. We're 13th, ladies and gents. I know, calm down. Going to get a nosebleed. Amorim does not want this to be his Manchester United team. This is not his aim. He's not going to sit in a back 5 and that's it going forward. End of story. Signings next season, it's not going to change anything. And then down there, I'm guessing you're just trolling, but I'll read it out anyway. Old Border Geek. Amorim is delusional with his tactics and he doesn't adapt. He's literally adapting his system into a low block because United cannot play in the system that he wants. Because we don't have the athletes. We don't have those who... It's exhausting. Like, could you imagine being Amorim? Could you imagine... I wake up every morning. I'm there. It's 7:30 this morning. I'm doing everything. I'm trying to get my head around everything that happened yesterday. We're 14th. Oh, never mind. And it's taken me ages. And there's a million things I'm thinking about. Imagine being the manager trying to be in charge of all of it. And you're saying it's a shot at Ineos. I wouldn't say it's a shot at Ineos, but it's just like Amorim is not looking at this team, how we're playing, and going, there you go. That's it. He's looking at that team going, oh, it's a hard watch, man. It is a hard watch. Even when we're winning, it's a hard watch. He doesn't want this team to sit in a deep back 5. He wants 3 centre-backs who are all comfortable covering a 20 to 30 yard space on their own. If a ball goes over the top on a transition, no problem. That centre-back has got it. He can cover that space. Is it a risk? Yeah. But you want us to play with more risk. You want us to play more on the front foot with our 2 wing-backs pushed forward. Diogo Dalot again yesterday. Yeah. All of our play was going down the left-hand side. That quote there is very, very telling. And he's not sort of hiding it. He doesn't want to play this way. But right now, given everything that's happening at our club, given everything that's happening with these players, given the fact that we went down to 10 men, needs must. But it's not the end game. If we're talking about bad, well, you know what's coming next. Let's have the conversation. Thank you to Alex, man, to gift him 5 memberships. I never spoke to you yesterday. You can see why. I'm just so busy. And mainly you gifted 10 as well. Takeoff, you saying Delo makes my brain hurt. Well, somebody makes my brain hurt. Now, ladies and gents, I am going to do a separate video on Onana. All right? I definitely need to do a separate video on Onana, given what I said about Onana. But I want to say this quickly. I want to apologise. And the reason I'm saying this is, of course, you all know that it's the way I presented it was wrong. I said Onana will be a transformative signing. And the reason I said that was based on the Onana that I saw at Inter Milan. The way that he played that whole season. The way that he played with the ball at his feet. His shot stopping was all right. It wasn't terrible, but I looked at how he played at Inter, and I imagined that Onana just dropping into United, and it would have been transformative had he played like he did at Inter. But, I mean, it couldn't be any... Well, I suppose it could be worse. I don't really know how. But get your thoughts in the comments on Onana. I'm pretty sure I know what the thoughts are going to be, right? That one there, when I first watched it go in, I was like, Dorgu, man, what you done? And then I watched it again, I was like, why is Onana even there? Dorgu, you can see the separation he's got there. Plenty of space ahead of Philogene. He's not like on his shoulder, right? At all. So there's no need for Onana to come rushing out to sort of cut the angles. Should Dorgu have been looking at him? Maybe, sure. But he was at no point under pressure there. So it's just a ridiculous decision from Onana to do that. And then I want to ask everybody what they think about this one. This second one. What do you? How much do you blame Onana for that one? Because it was a ball that was swung in. It looked like Liam Delap was going to get a touch on it. I think he just pulled his foot away, and by that point, Onana had already put his weight on his left foot, and then the ball just dribbled in. It wasn't hit with any sort of venom at all. And Mamu, yeah, it's kind of a very good point there. We're talking about this, a lack of communication. Yeah, you should have a big scream from your goalkeeper that he's coming. Presumably that didn't happen. Otherwise, why would Dorgu touch it? Volpe saying you can blame both, but Onana should command his area. I understand that he should command his area, but there ain't no one there to command. I don't think he needed to. I don't think he needed to at all. Dorgu did look. Onana just sprinted out. Can't blame him for the second. Onana thought a touch was coming. It's kind of half where I am on that one. But Cowboy, you're saying second one is worse. 100% on Onana. He was reacting to something that didn't happen. Need to follow the ball first and then react to Delap. That was all on Onana. You follow the trajectory. He anticipated a touch and never came. Either way, I think it's fair to say that I suppose technically he was a transformative signing. Now, of course, there's going to be revisionism over David De Gea. Naturally, because I see revisionism about bloody every player that's come under scrutiny before, or any manager. Like now, Ole's won 5 games. He's won some games at Besiktas. Everyone was like, oh, you didn't know what you had until it was gone. I said, I fucking did know what we had at United. And it's why I argued with so many damn fans about Solskjaer. I don't need revisionism about Solskjaer. And then I've even seen it about like Fellaini and just every player. It's just, that's the way it goes. That's just the way it is. But Onana has a catalogue of errors now. An absolute catalogue of errors. And yeah, I think I'm done. I think in the summer, I mean, I don't know how. We won't be able to go out and sign a big top-level goalkeeper. If we were to sign someone, it would probably be someone who's experienced. Maybe Bayindir would come through. Is Bayindir fit? Because he's not been on the bench. Don't know. I'll see what you're saying in the comments. Let's go read some out. He definitely can't handle the pressure. He's going to be sold, says Steve. Well, Onana has to be one of the biggest examples of that, right? Bear in mind, this is a goalkeeper that had just played the Champions League final and looked like he was playing it, but like in a Sunday league game, running out from his box, passes through the middle. The highlights from Onana's game against City, he was supremely confident in arguably the biggest game in club football, on the biggest stage. And then he came to United. Woof. And let's not talk about his bloody first season in the Champions League, my word. Alex saying, do you think Amorim's done with Onana? I think in the back of his mind he probably is now. I think so. Someone talking about Matej Kovar. Is he the one that's gone to Leverkusen? I think so. Someone's talking about Zion Suzuki. Look, fair play to Zion Suzuki. You'll remember, or maybe you won't. We were linked with signing him in the summer that I think we signed Onana. And he then rejected interest from United because he wanted game time. I think he then moved to a club in Belgium. I think it was Belgium. And he was then signed by Parma in Italy. And he's really developed and really developing. So maybe Zion Suzuki is someone that we can go in and look at again. Again, a lot of our scouts actually do find some good players, but he wanted first team game time. He didn't think he was going to get that at United. That's why he moved on. But yeah, it's just, I don't really know what you can say about Onana anymore, man. I have personally forgiven a lot of errors from Onana. But yesterday was just like, mate, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Yeah. I would like to see Bayindir in goal for Fulham. I don't even know if Bayindir is fit. And if Bayindir isn't fit, who was on the bench yesterday? Was it Eli Harrison? Who, of course, I think is 18. Eli Harrison won the treble with the under-18s last season. Was Heaton on the bench? Tom Heaton. I swear he's part of like the leadership group of this club. I think so. Either way, yeah, it feels like I'm done with Onana right now. Just a personal opinion, right? Now, if we're speaking about all the other bad things that happened yesterday, you've got to speak about Dorgu's red card. And at the time, I looked at it and I was like, "There's no malice in that." Was my immediate reaction as a United fan, and that was what definitely with red tinted specs. Because you watched it again, I was like, "That's a red card." It was definitely a red card. His foot was too high. It probably just skipped off the surface. Contact with the calf. It was shin. Sorry, it was definitely a red card, and I don't think any United fan will look back at it and sort of argue that it needs to be overturned or anything like that. And I feel for Dorgu because pretty much in every game, like obviously his first game he played on the right-hand side and he got taken off at half-time and it was really confusing. Since then, he's played on the left-hand side and he's been just consistently impressive. He's just done what he needed to do and exactly that, right? Lone Wolf, you're down there. And we all know this. Like, he'll learn. Like, Ruben Amorim got such a ridiculous question from TNT Sport after the game. He was asked, because of that red card, do you think that Dorgu's not ready for the Premier League? And he's like, what do you mean? Like, if you look at his performances so far, the 2 games that he's played, I think, prior to that, he's looked more than ready. It doesn't all of a sudden change because of one bad tackle with a little bit of poor timing. That's just the way that the media will try and take it. Someone down there, I wish I could... In fact, I'm going to add this after, in terms of bad things. It's a very good point. But yeah, I don't begrudge... of course I don't. I don't begrudge Dorgu for that tackle. I think it's unfortunate for him. What's more unfortunate is we're going to bloody not have Dorgu now for... Who is it? Fulham, Arsenal, and Leicester. And Arsenal, I say it most times, probably a couple of times a week. You are such a pointless football club. You have one job this season. One job. Now I've got to mute the internet for at least a month because of you. Why not? Actually, no, because of you whoppers. Go and sack another manager. Go on. Piss off. You're a relevant football club. You've never even won the Champions League. You haven't won the league in 20-odd years. Just thinking about Arsenal fans, it just pisses me off. Never, as bad as Liverpool fans are, the fact that Arsenal fans still somehow have so much gas, it just frustrates me. And I hope we just twist the knife and just beat him at Old Trafford in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah, Stephanie, I agree. Dorgu gives us a lot of balance on that left-hand side. And just a lot of quality. Just a lot of quality. The overlaps, the runs, covering the space, the football, the athleticism. What we see in Dorgu at left wing-back and what we see in Yoro in left centre-back, we need at centre-back, at right centre-back, at right wing-back, in midfield. We need it all over the pitch. And it really is. It's been a good start for Dorgu, but it's just such a shame now he's going to miss it. And speaking about bad things, I just had to pull up a photo of Robbie Savage. My God, man. It's almost insufferable listening to him on commentary. Talking about tactics for like 20 minutes every game. Robbie, it's fine, man. Like, you weren't good enough to play for United. Yeah, I know that we sold your son, Charlie Savage, to Reading, but he's fine. He's going to have a professional football career away for United. He wasn't good enough to be a United player. Neither were you. Just like, let it go, man. Just let it go. Please. Ugh. Hate listening to Robbie Savage. Right. Unfortunately, we're now skipping on to the third part of the show. The ugly part, right? And we need to have a conversation about this. Now, I am going to see if anything more comes out on what happened with Garnacho. But for those who didn't see, I'll show you a video in a sec. Garnacho was taken off after Dorgu's red card and Mazraoui went on. Amorim made a decision. He kept Højlund on, he kept Xerxes on, and Garnacho went off. And this was Garnacho's reaction. Well, actually, and this is part of it. So Garnacho's reaction was to go down the tunnel. And Amorim was asked about it after the game, and I'll run through what Amorim's quotes were. This is a video I've seen since about, and this is Garnacho walking off, right? There's Garnacho there. Touch here. So that's Garnacho saying, I'm just going to go into change, right? I'll do it one more time. I presume that's what he means, right? He's just going to go into change his shirt. Now, Amorim was asked about it after the game. He said it was cold, it was wet and rainy. The thing was that we would play more in a 5-3-1. That was the decision from Amorim tactically. Made the sub, we had to choose someone to go out, and I had to think about set pieces, and that was his choice. And let's be totally honest, we'd scored 2 set pieces, and we scored a third set piece. So the decision to focus on the set pieces was a correct and vindicated decision. And he was sort of pushed on it a bit more by the journalist and said, like, you're comparing it to Rashford. I will talk to him about it, and you can ask me at the next press conference. But sort of, regardless of whether or not he went to change his shirt, right? Garnacho popping up on Instagram straight after the game with this. It's such a bad reflection of attitude. Team's just won 3-2, right? Down to 10 men for 45 minutes. Everybody's putting an absolute shift. Bruno's on 0%. Xerxes is on 0%. And your mindset, and this is the thing that annoys me. Your mindset at that point in time is not congratulations to my teammates, congratulations to everything that goes on. Your mindset is, I am pissed off that I was taken off. And that's why that story went out. And that's what I'm annoyed about. I think, I'll be honest, when he was taken off, I looked at it and I went, it's a strange decision. Actually, no, at the time, I thought it made sense to take Garnacho off because we needed a defender on. But then when half-time came around, I thought it probably would have been a better decision to take Højlund off. But Amorim sort of explained that he was doing it for the set pieces. And Amorim was vindicated. Amorim made the right choices because we won 3-2. Like, Garnacho gave himself like a self-imposed ban from Twitter, right? Mate, someone's got to... No, sod that. No one's got to tell him anything. It's all on you, dude. It's not about advice anymore. It's after the game when your team has won 3-2. You want to put that up. You're just showing everybody that you're thinking about how frustrated you are that you got taken off at half-time, rather than the fact that the team itself won 3-2. It just shows that the focus and the attention is in the wrong place. It's not about the team. It's not about the collective. It's about me. And that exact attitude was why Sancho was moved on from the club. The fact that Marcus Rashford wasn't, in Amorim's opinion, doing enough for the team in training, that's why he was moved on. And Garnacho, after everything that happened after City, and he came back in and he showed a real drive, heads up, looking for his teammates. He's an obvious and clear threat to any team that we're a better threat going forward with Garnacho in it. But it doesn't fucking matter if your attitude stinks. You will be moved on. And Garnacho is just walking himself towards the exit with stuff like that. There's going to be people down there in the comments saying, what was that there? It was a toss-up between Højlund or Garnacho. It wasn't that deep to be offended by. I mean, look, he was frustrated with the fact that he was taken off when he was our biggest threat. But just the reaction, yeah, cool. That happened at halftime. And by the way, and again, if I go back to this and the optics of walking down the optics of walking down the tunnel, or walking to the tunnel, 3 minutes before half-time, again, if you step back, and you can't step back because it's sort of like red mist, the optics are horrible. You only had to wait 2 minutes to go down the tunnel and change your shirt anyway because it was pretty much half-time. But at that moment in time, he was, I just want to go down the tunnel. Sod that. I'm going to open the floor. What's your opinion down here? Ant, you having to go at me? You can't compare Garnacho and Sancho to Sancho and Rashford. That's bang out of order. At least he trains and tries. I shouldn't really compare it to anyone. I should just have it in isolation because they're all different scenarios and different issues, really. But we know full well that the mentality and the attitude of the dressing room is one of the biggest problems at our football club. And when you see stuff like that, I just don't think you can really defend it. And when you follow it up, so say, for example, his head was hot and that's why he walked off. This was like a solid hour later. Dust has settled on that. But still, he's frustrated the fact that he was taken off. Rather than wanting to congratulate his team first, he was still so pissed off, right? I'm going to go down and read some comments. You got Raw saying that it's a relapse for Garnacho. I know it took him a little bit to get going under Amorim. It's frustrating to see, and it is frustrating. I'll go back to it's almost like repeating conversations here. I was always concerned about Garnacho fitting in the system, but when he came back in after City, he really showed a sort of determination to work and to learn and to develop. And that's a step backwards. That's a step back into what we were trying to avoid. And you're saying you're making we are making it bigger than it needs to be. We're having a conversation that this is the end of a 40-minute show, and we've already talked about all the good, all the bad, and now we're talking about that. You can't ignore that. You can't pretend that it didn't happen. Amorim himself was questioned about it and said he'll talk to Garnacho about it. It's just at a time when our manager has so many fucking problems, the last thing he needs is a dumbass conversation like this. All right? I mean, we have got untold amounts of problems at our club, let alone stuff like this, which you just don't need at all. There's no need for it, and there's no need for even a conversation to be had about it, but now it's going to have to be. And that'll be down to Amorim, how he deals with it. Maybe it will be nothing. Maybe it will come out, indeed. I don't know the answer to this question. I'm not sure if anybody else does. Was Garnacho out on the bench for the second half? I haven't actually seen any photos of the dugout, so I don't know. I actually don't know the answer to this question. But if he wasn't out on the bench, actually, no, I don't need to speak about the ins and outs, but was Garnacho on the bench for the second half? That's what I'd like to know. I need to find some photos about that, because that kind of might change my opinion on the whole thing. Let me see what you're saying down there. He's still a kid and he's young and he needs to learn. I understand that, Billington, right? But whether it was turning up late for training in Ten Hag's first preseason and being dropped as a consequence to that, or whether that's been dropped from the squad to face City because you're not doing enough in training, there's been quite a few examples now. And it's sort of, it's good that there's progress and then there's regression. And there's progress and then there's regression. The only way you truly develop as a player is if there's progress followed by progress followed by progress. Everyone's allowed a little bit of regression here and there, but it's kind of conversations that we've had before. There's a couple of super chats here. I think I want to read these out and then I'll dive into the comments. Onana always moves early. It's why he looks so bad, says Chitty. Yeah, I understand the opinion down in the comments there, really, that you need to follow the ball mainly, rather than following the anticipation of where the move's going to go. Ridergram, you're saying, I'm tired. Onana is stressing me mentally, not the only one. FDR2, you're saying, if you're annoyed with Højlund staying on instead of you speak with the manager afterwards. Don't post on social media. Grow up. I think that's going to be how a lot of United fans feel about it. Someone down there saying Garnacho's not a kid, he's a dad. Yeah, I don't know. It's just another media beat-up, if you ask me. I'm not Garnacho's biggest fan, but he's done nothing wrong here. Well, I would disagree with you on that one, Jonah. You can't tell me that he's done nothing wrong. As I said, if it was about changing a shirt, it is 2 minutes before half-time, and you know full well, as a professional footballer in a stadium with 75,000 fans and 45 cameras pointed at you, that walking down the tunnel before half-time will create a conversation point. If there's no conversation to be had there, then don't create the conversation. That's awareness. That's understanding your surroundings as a professional footballer and an athlete for Manchester United. Fast bike. Secondly, after the game, where your team has won 3-2, probably posting that's a bit of a red flag. All right? Of course, this is just a game of opinions. It's just a game of opinions. And yeah. My God. It's. Could you imagine being Ruben Amorim? I know we can't. It's impossible. But how do you manage this? How do you sort of how do you walk in the dressing room and try and talk about a three at the back system or where you can play it out from the back with the ball when you've got to talk about 40 different things first? Like, the amount of plates that you have to spin is it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And on more than one occasion, Amorim has said that this season is about survival, right? And we're what, 14th now? Something like that. 14th, somewhere between 13th and 15th. Fantastic. Right, Jock, you're pissed off at me, so I'm going to read this comment. You speak some amount of crap sometimes. You're just feeding into the anti-United media and being a complete drama queen. Just leave it. It's not important. I disagree with you completely. I think it is important. I think we've seen so many times over these years that the wrong attitudes do not help United. And if you do you, man, if you want to try and gloss over that and say it's not, there's nothing here whatsoever, then I think you're just ignoring it. That's cool. I'm guessing you love Garnacho, and I love Garnacho. He's right there. You know full well that the attitudes of this football club and the players of this football club are like the biggest problem that we fucking had under so many managers. Boy, oh boy. Been a drama queen, though. Anyway, if I'm going to take one big main takeaway from yesterday, I think I'm going to go for this. I'm going to go for the fact that Amorim, even after a victory, is just reiterating and stating again and again and again, like, I don't want us to play like we did in the second half, man. It's hard for me to watch. But right now, these players are more comfortable playing in a bit of a low block. And we've seen that on more than one occasions. Whether we get there will very much depend on whether we have a good summer. Hence why I did my video yesterday on the recruitment. Because you look at Dorgu, you look at Yoro, and you can see the first pieces being put together. You can see how if you develop that and you get 3 or 4 more complementary signings around those players, then you really can start going on a front foot. We desperately need a right wing back. Someone like Kenda, obviously. We desperately need a goal scorer, obviously. And I think we need 2 new, absolute athletes to play in one of the number 10 roles and one of the central midfield roles. Those 4, I think, are the ones I think are essential. But in an ideal world, you'd probably sign somebody who can play wide centre-back, left or right. An anonymous bot. Always cracks me up, that's your username. Good morning, Sam. You should watch the fake AI-generated football interviews of Ruben Amorim. You'll get a good laugh, especially the one regarding Onana. Man, you see the AI stuff, right? You see where it is now. You can tell it's AI, but it's still it does have a little bit of a comedy factor. It doesn't really last long. What do you reckon? 3 months, 6 months? It's not far off. And in some cases, it actually is already at that level. But I reckon you're probably about 3 to 6 months off, maybe 6 months, off a sort of consumer-facing, like Grok on Twitter can make ridiculous images now. 6 months off a sort of a consumer-facing AI video-generating bot that can just make hyper-realistic stuff that it's quite difficult to tell whether it's real or not. I haven't got a kid yet, right? Fingers crossed at some point in the future. But I fear for the world that they are going to grow up in. It's going to be so hard to decipher what's real and what isn't. I always think about that. But a random way to end the show. And I'll tell you what, wow. Jeez. That's not a random way to end the show. It's a brilliant way to end the show. I am me, gifting 50. Bring up the community, man. Everybody get involved in the Discord. I think Alex is launching some new stuff this week. I think we're gonna start getting some quizzes in there, some trivia in there. We're also gonna start giving some. So I'm gonna hopefully what I want to try and do is bring some leaderboards for weekly quizzes, get some raffles in there, all the stuff, right? Loads. That game had everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm going to do my lunchtime video, sort of trying to make it a bit more succinct for everybody who couldn't join in this morning. Thank you, everyone, for coming and joining in. It's It's mad how many things, genuine talking points we have every day. And it's mad to think that there's someone who's in charge of all of that and has to deal with all of that. Whoa. Fair play, Ruben. Even if you have been crap, largely, football-wise. Let's see. He doesn't want to play that way. I want to see him get there and actually have the players that can play there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I mean, what's going to happen against Fulham? I've got no idea.